That it?
You live.
Live from the Parkway Automotive Studios, the Dream Show. Live, I guess. That makes sense. That's kind of redundant, though. Isaac Stackhouse, the Wandering Grappler,
What it do?
in here on the ones and twos, putting it down.
Jamming out to our man Evan.
Man, he grows on you, especially going back in the catalog, sourcing his sources is interesting. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun. Yeah, Parkway Automotive Studios, Peach Podcast Syndicate.
Bro, I was into DJs when I was like in high school and whatnot, and that like I was more into like where they got their music than I was about their like I don't know. I always followed that pathway like you're talking about.
Samples.
Yeah.
Back to the back. That's interesting, man. It's kind of I don't know. One of the things I do it a little bit more, I guess. Now I've thought about it, but I do enjoy watching stuff about like musicians and like how they put together stuff, like all different kinds of musicians too, I guess. The structure.
Wallow and Seth are in the house.
What up, Wallow and Seth? Yeah, just I do a lot of that stuff, and so different ones for different things are the whys and the how some things kind of come together, and how some things that turn out to be really like dope, and people are like, oh, that's amazing, it's an accident almost, or just like wasn't really like on purpose. It just kind of like developed that way, and it just is what it and then but it's like revolutionary, and people adopt it as the norm, going forward. This is a thing that people do, and I think there's parallels with a lot of that stuff in martial arts, like someone learns a chord or whatever from someone else that they saw play that they thought was cool, and they learn how to use that in their own way, and then they add it to their collection of things that they know and can play, and then when it's the time's right, you put it in there. And so it can't always be there, right? And it's not always the right sound, but when it is the right sound, you would like to have that in your arsenal. You know what I mean? So I just always think that's really cool how things develop sort of organically, over time, more than just like sticking with like doing the same thing everybody's been doing, or even what you've been always kind of doing, always looking for that path of like innovation, the artist or the craftsman.
So what happens to the guy that's like been training for like where is the mindset? Because I don't know, like I'll get my mind blown by something, and then I'll run off down. I mean, you know me, I'll take something and run with a rabbit hole for a while. So like what mental gymnastics is a guy going through that's like, no, this is the way, this is the only way? Like, how do you, I mean, we were all that guy at some point, right?
I think that's it, man. I think it's not necessarily, they just haven't been,
they're at a different point.
Yeah, they just haven't been exposed to it yet. I guess they haven't been shown enough things yet, and that could be from lack of potential exposure or even wanted exposure. I'm not, that could be either or, somebody just doesn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? Nobody can tell you something that they don't know. It just doesn't occur to you. It's like
context,
right? I mean, just at all, right? Yeah. How do you know anything? Well, because you had to be kind of told it or experience it or something like that. And so until you've been exposed to it in a real way, you don't have any way, I guess, context or whatever to understand what's even happening or what could potentially happen, I guess.
Well, that's like you had some guys that were showing you a move, and then we talked about the fact that like in the moment they knew the answer to why that they wanted to do something, but they didn't know why they were doing it, and so they missed details in between because of context. They didn't understand the context as to why they were doing what they were doing at the end.
Kind of answering the wrong question, I guess.
Yeah.
In that moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of it too, I guess. So you're out there. Sometimes you can get the information, and you have to reverse engineer it, and that's something that we've all kind of done, especially the older generations from rural areas. All kind of studied videos and tapes and YouTube as it came along and stuff like that to develop um, your own, you know, take on stuff because you didn't have a black belt to train with in the house and stuff.
Do
So
you think you have to have that in-house physical like presence to train to get to a high level, or can you be these guys? I mean, if you think about it, there's like the Nate Orchards or the like Craig Joneses out there that like studied tape and then went out and then, but they did still get the physical side because then they went out and competed against the highest possible that they could find.
well, that's the thing. You got to be out there. You got to be doing it, right? You got to be either in the room with great people who are educating you on it and teaching you that stuff, or you got to go out there and experience it and feel it and say, oh, "What the heck was that?" And
That
then
didn't work. Yeah.
take it back home and be like chopping it up and see what it, you know,
Yeah.
what can we take from that? What are the pieces we can mine from this experience? You know, kind of like one of my favorite stories is like the reason that I learned how to use an underhook from the bottom and side control and stuff is because I lost that fight with Dan Severn. And then after the fight, coach was like, "All you gotta do is kind of get your underhook right here, and you could have like gotten up." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, just kind of this and get an underhook, and you can get up on your side." And I was like, "No way!"
It's like that Mr. Miyagi
That's
moment.
amazing. And I was, you know, that was my third professional fight at that point, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And it changed the whole way I thought about everything. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, there's just things like it just didn't occur to me at that point though. That was the thing I needed to do, despite what people had maybe told me before or whatever lessons had came prior to that. It never occurred to me that I could just get an underhook from bottom side and start trying to work up and wrestle. I didn't have a wrestling background really, so I didn't have that like idea of like pounding my hips side to side, whatever, and trying to wrestle
Right,
up and stuff.
right,
Like it
right.
didn't occur to me at that point.
How to get up off the ground.
Well, just without technical stand-ups.
Right.
Because that's how you do it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
This is the way. And so that was the way I did it. And then until I saw other ways and I was like, oh, well, that's not exactly what he said before. But okay, you know, just kind of take the next thing and then like go to another person and they would either add to or take away from, you know. And then some people, you know, I realize sometimes like some people are good for some advice and some people are not good for other advice. The same person is not the right person for other advice.
Maybe just
and that's dangerous for you.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, oh man, he gave me some good advice on this other even training style of thing.
Just staying inside the idea of
whatever they're in. And I had this coach, and he was a good striking coach, but he convinced me that there was no reason to do those stretches where you would put your heel to your butt and like stretch your quad out, basically.
I'm curious as to what his reasoning
was. He just said that there was no reason to ever do that, and all it would do is put stress on your knee. And I was like, I'm okay, that makes sense to me. So I went several years without doing that.
Never stretching your and avoiding stretching your quad.
I thought in that way for sure.
Oh God.
And then now that's part of the reason that this side doesn't always move the way that it should, is because I didn't do that. And it, you know, just I didn't know any different, and he told me so. He was the coach, and he taught me a lot of good like fighting stuff. So I was like, all right, then. Well, I guess that makes sense. You know, everything else he's kind of said so far made sense. So, but he didn't really know much about that, and for some reason, I don't know. I wish I knew. Honestly, at this point, I don't know anything about where he's at or anything. This is super early into my career, or even training. I wouldn't even have called it a career at that point, I guess, but super early into my training like times. Striking coaches are crazy, dude. Like you can find some really crazy striking coaches.
Oh, and they'll tell you some. I mean, you can find some crazy coaches in everything. I had a coach tell me in high school that like, and I was a pretty quick, like I probably weighed what I weigh now when he told me this, and he was like, if you don't gain 20 pounds, you won't ever see the field. So I was like, okay, 17-year-old me just started eating, you know, as many calories as possible. Hello, 225.
Doesn't make. I mean, just you know, you just reaching for the specific goal that you were told to get. There's no real like way to do it.
So how do you find your way through that when there isn't anybody there to help you, or do you just feel it?
It's hard. Yeah, it's super hard, and you make mistakes, and then you got to hopefully be smarter than the people around you
each time. Yeah,
and change on your own, even if that makes you the weirdo. You know, you got to start doing what's right for and not worry about what the crowd is doing or what everybody else is doing.
Because I mean, in our sport, there's no structure. There's no like, oh, you go to high school, you play in high school, you score all these touchdowns, somebody calls you, all this. Even in that realm, it's hard to navigate those waters. But I mean, the amateur fighting world.
Well, I guess that's right. Yeah, it's just so spaced out, and then depending on where you are, right? Some people get lucky, and they're
right place, right
they're
time.
born or live in a place where there's an amazing team where they are, and they find that place right away. And then there's some people who aren't, and they find where they can, or they create a space that they can, and they do the best they can, like piecing it together. And then hopefully they can get to one of those places where they can be nurtured a little bit and brought to a new level. Because I think the self-reliance runs out at a certain time. Like the tape learning model starts to
you got to go to the actual mountaintop eventually.
Well, you just miss things. There's things that somebody can watch and see you do, and then you can like sit there, and it's not even like, okay, for instance, like again, kind of back to what we were talking about earlier with the context of stuff. You can have an idea or you can say something, but then if I see you do it, I can say, but what about this? And you're like, well, I like this. And then you can have that conversation to where it's like, but what if you did this maybe first or intermediate to what you're looking for, or you have it as an accessory?
So there's always you have to have the physical to go along with
I think the conversations make it everything, right? And you can get your guys and y'all can put it together too. That's what I'm saying. So like you can get smart people together and figure stuff out, but then at a certain point, it's still a matter of like, how far can you go until you've actually been to an elite level? Like how elite can you be without being challenged by other elite, at least minds? You know what I mean? Not even
not both minds and bodies.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like it is a body game. I mean, there's a reason that I travel the most that I do, because like when you're looking for people to train with, I mean, to find enough bodies to train with you 6 days a week, like that's hard
tough.
sometimes.
It's tough, man. And I think a good coach is super, super, super important, right? But it's up to the athlete to put it all together.
Yeah.
I can't do but what I can do for you. And then if you don't either A, like put it to use, or B, it doesn't work for you some reason, whatever, then that just is what it is. So
you can only show, you can't.
Right. I've done what I can do, and I'm doing what I can do.
Yeah.
Right. And so now it's up to you to explore the path for yourself, right? The path like is your goal, right? You gotta carve your own lane. You can ride on the backs of the people who are in front of you to a certain point, but then when they run out, you've got to continue from where their path ends. You're cutting another one, and that's what the lineages are. That's what your lineage kind of should be, at least. It's like, I'm carrying you as far as I possibly can, and then when my time is up, either like metaphorically or like knowledge base wise with you or whatever, it's up to you to carry on for yourself to get that further higher level of knowledge, or to continue on refining the things that you've understood through my teachings or whatever, and whether that's jujitsu or whatever that is,
Mandy said, you can lead a horse to water.
No, 100 times, right? But
she also commented on the amazing shirt you had on.
Thirsty. Oh, yeah. It's a Mandy exclusive. She designed it and had it printed up for us. So you get a couple of these at the gym. There's not many left, but
get them while they're hot.
Yeah, I mean, they're there. Only a couple sizes. You have to message her.
Start running that underground secondary market like Supreme.
Boom, boom. You know what I mean?
I hear that's what the kids do.
We're out here.
It's how they made champions cool.
Is it? Oh, yeah. It's like, okay, kind of like the tipping point thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Malcolm Gladwell thing. Your mom mentioned that last week. I've read it. Thanks. A couple times. I like it. I like it a lot. It's great. Like, it's great for stuff like that. but yeah, that thing is true with I can show you everything I know, but it's up to you to want it or to take
Mhm.
it or to have it, and
Even to an extent, I mean, there you have teams that are in this, but the team can't win it for you or do the thing for you. Like
yeah, just because
ultimately,
you're a
it's
part of an amazing team doesn't mean you're gonna
right,
be good either.
right.
Right? There's a lot of
It's up to
people,
you.
yeah, and some great teams may not be a great team for you, also.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
Just
same as like
because,
looking for the right coach and
yeah,
looking
just
for the
because
right,
they're
yeah.
an elite room doesn't mean that it's the right one for you. You may not fit in all the way, for some reason, whatever the reason could be. Uh, so that's a lot of it. Like again, I guess we're talking about the music stuff or whatever, but watching how people put together things is really really interesting, and trying to like find the right like aces in their places or whatever. You know what I mean? The right person to play the right instrument or whatever. You know, uh,
But do
and
you think that like the guy that is, I mean, I guess like it depends on your goal, but I mean, it's like I don't know how familiar you are with like watching somebody play jazz. Like that looks like a type of comfort. Like to me, for jujitsu, to watch somebody that like can do jazz with their
mm,
body, like
just
that kind of
smooth.
comfort is what I see as beautiful.
I mean, you hear some of the stuff we listen to in class a lot of
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
It's pretty.
It's jazzy.
Yeah, I mean, I like stuff like that when I'm in certain moods and
Mhm.
certain things. But music is really like, I think it's important for like psychology, whatever you're listening to. Like obviously, if it's books or whatever your people you're talking to or music, I think it does really influence like your state of mind
Oh,
and
music,
day to
definitely.
day. Like, and I think maybe people don't kind of this like that joke or whatever. Like hip hop made me do it back in the day or whatever. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's not necessarily that it made you do it, but you do start. Having certain thoughts and feelings when you get stuck in certain
Would you say
mental
like
loops or whatever.
manifesting type stuff?
Yeah,
Like,
you
yeah,
could. Yeah,
you
for
create
sure.
you create what you focus on type
Yeah,
deal.
right.
Yeah.
You want to do whatever the thing is. It makes you feel a certain good way, kind of maybe, or your ideation of it.
It's
In a
also a
way,
reflection too. I think that like
and that can be good or bad.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it
Is
could
that like
be.
it's a reflection of either a good or a bad scenario, and that really does depend on what's like actively happening in the moment. Because it in music, a record of what's happening in one single moment.
I guess for sure, and to some degree,
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, it's not always, I guess, recorded, but
Well, okay, yeah. I get you. I guess record was the wrong word that I was looking for,
yeah, but
but
it's a moment. It's a
yeah,
sound. And that's all it is. I guess it sounds and I heard this thing. I guess I was watching. I've been watching a lot of stuff, but it's like frequencies and vibrations
yeah,
is
yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and
that
so
that was the line I was going down. Is that like we're like
yeah.
it's almost like a magical code. Like I've watched a lot of the same stuff. Like magical is another poor choice of words, but like it's like a code.
Whoa. This it is
But it's
magic
like
though.
the
This
yeah,
is
that's that.
magic though, right? Like
Yeah,
imagine, there's all these lights and like cameras projecting this out to anybody that has access to this YouTube, stuff. They can literally just click in right now and like see me waving and
would you
talking about
almost
it.
say it's part of a matrix?
I assume so, right? It's
Yeah.
all part of something, and it's weird, but it's exciting, to be a part of it all like that. Um, but yeah, it's just and so what do you like? How do you build those structures though? I guess is what the thing is for most of us now is like, or at least for most people in my position, I guess now it's like instead of being the guy who is a good musician, you know what I mean? Like I'm now the conductor,
Mm.
So I
Who's
got
usually a very skilled or a very skilled
that's what I said,
musician
right? But you
themselves.
got to understand more than your instrument,
Right. Okay.
you know, and so that's been interesting
So that's
to
kind of how you
to
see yourself as an instructor. It's kind of like a conductor that's trying to help
lately
everybody use
lately
their.
that's been a process that I have been
Hmm.
going down on my own in my free time a lot, listening to a bunch of different like really really great musicians and stories and how they would tell their version of what happened, not
So do you
just
listen to a lot of like orchestra or symphony stuff these days?
uh
You should.
not I have listened to some but not necessarily like in and of itself, but I like again going listening to what is making the music that I do like. Like there's a lot of strings and horns and different things in
Mhm.
that music too. So how did how does that go together in a
If you're
way?
referring to like what you play in the gym, I would call that jazz. You like a jazz
I don't know if I would
like
call it jazz or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's
okay,
jazzy, I guess, but
jazzy.
it's got some drum and bass and stuff in there and stuff too that's not necessarily,
Yeah, but jazz is just like free form music. Like they
but it
don't
could
have predetermined
okay.
like what they're
Well,
playing.
maybe so then, because I like the horns and stuff. I like
Mhm.
having them big horns and like a lot of different sounds. I like having like it sounds like real music a lot more than just like the electronic kind of sounds.
Right.
Um, which is interesting, because going back, it's always kind of been that way though, I guess. And then now that I've been looking into it a little bit more and watching more of that stuff, it is, it's like I do like that stuff, and it could be like country music or hip hop or the stuff that the jazz that we listen to or whatever, the instrumental stuff at the gym that we listen to a lot of times. Uh, it's just whatever the mood kind of is what I kind of go into, and if I don't know, it just kind of is what it is, and I don't know if everybody thinks about stuff that way or not. Uh, I'm
I
just
definitely use music to change my mood.
I mean, I know people use it to get hyped and whatever before matches or whatever, and when
I
they're
don't
about
like
to
that.
like go on a run or whatever. People listen
I
to
like that
music
when
and
I'm running.
stuff.
I like music when I'm running, but
Um,
I don't like music like right before a fight. I kind of want to be in my own head. I want to hear my own thoughts.
well, but that's what I'm saying though. You can kind of help yourself direct those thoughts maybe by choosing a musical number.
I go on a ride with the music. It takes me away from my own head.
Mm,
Like I can't like it makes me want to be like, and this is where like my head works in the fashion of like or in like film. So like when I hear a song, I can literally see a whole movie in my head,
mm,
or like so like I can see
yeah,
what the music video should look like, or I could see like how that, because I see it as an emotional string puller. And so like that's how I experience music. So I can't listen to music while I'm studying, while I'm doing anything important, while I'm
mm.
doing like, I like music while I'm training, but I don't like it like right before I compete or anything like that. It takes me way off. So that's the Illuminati trying to shut me
I
up.
like I like to have something on when I'm writing.
Mm.
It helps me write. Uh,
I'll write the lyrics into what I'm writing if I do that.
really.
So like if I am listening to music, it's usually like instrumental, or like very often it's like I'll listen to orchestra music while I'm editing, stuff like that. Like,
I like listening to certain kinds of music when I'm like cleaning.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Certain kinds when I clean because I like to sing, I guess more. So it'll be stuff that I could sing.
Stuff you know.
Uh, yeah,
Nostalgic almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure
Throw
more.
on some
Yeah,
Biggie and go sliding through in
no,
your
no,
socks,
not
or
even like
like
stuff
even
like that.
older.
Like no, like more like country and soul stuff or whatever.
My sister listens to Disney instrumental playlist while she's working and focusing. So like,
That's not weird,
no.
not at all. Um, I mean that whatever. Like I just need usually something in the background, or I'll get distracted by the random noise, and
Okay.
then I'll go
The
chase.
squirrel.
I'll go chase the sound, and
I get it.
and end up somewhere else. But if I have that going on, then I know that I'm just in here doing whatever the thing is that needs to be done. Uh, but it doesn't always work that way because sometimes you just end up spending an hour trying to find the right song.
Yeah, yeah, I'll do that too. Like I'll be yeah, pulling out of the driveway trying to listen, find the right song to listen to.
I gotta quit hitting this
Is
thing.
it
I think
you?
I keep doing like bang.
I think that might be it. But
I'm frustrated. Yeah.
yeah, I'm one of those. I can't like quite focus
So
if
that's
I
why I
have
start
too
listening to a
much.
lot of books if I can, because then I can just do that for a little while, and then
I like that
if
when I'm
something
driving.
comes up, I can swerve if I'm on the road for a while into a couple of different ideas. Um. So yeah, I don't know, dude. It's been a wild time here. We are talking about a little bit of the stuff going on before the show, I guess. Now that we went through all of that stuff. How long was that? How long have we been talking?
That was only 25 minutes.
Okay, that was still
that was a
still,
wormhole.
Like we chunked up.
we dove right in. Welcome to the 10 a.m. show on Fridays.
So here we are. We had some scheduling stuff go down. Congratulations, Becca and Seth.
Yeah,
the fams and stuff. This week, Isaac was busy, so we decided to slide into Friday, 10 a.m. It's whatever, it's all good, and just happy to be here, And then there's lots of other stuff going on. Yesterday was finally a very happy day for myself. The mats actually finally got to the spot in Costa Rica. I've been quiet about it because, man, it was crazy. We ordered them like late April and May. I'm not sure the exact date, and they just got there, and it's literally a couple of weeks away, and it's been a learning experience to say the least. To figure this stuff out and make sure that would happen. And dude, that was I almost cried when I saw the picture of them in the place that I've already been. All stacked up. It's like, all right, I know they're there now. It's not like a hypothetical. We didn't just get.
So at the very least, jiu-jitsu's going down in Costa Rica.
Sure. And we got mats for everybody that's coming, and it's going to be super dope.
I'm excited.
I'm super, super more excited than I have been in the last 3 weeks or so because the mats weren't there yet. And I was it was almost starting to feel like it was being a catfish. Like we just ordered these mats or whatever, and somebody's just sending us invoices.
Also known as a scam.
Right. But yeah. And they're sending it, but like a really like elaborate one, because we're getting all these weird customs letters and
some Arabian print stuff.
Oh man.
You need to send us $1 million.
And at that point we were so like committed to those mats that it was like we couldn't do any other moves that would be make any sense.
Bro, anybody I've ever known that's in the import-export business is pulling their hair out.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad we did that once.
Yeah.
And so we got enough mats that we only have to do it once, and it's fine.
So you're not going in the international shipping and trade business, is what you're saying?
I'm not. If somebody else wants to, then yeah. I mean, there's a lot to get into depending on
Wallow said that they shipped the mats via bike messenger.
It felt like it, man. It felt like it. And every time somebody touched them, it cost more money. Like they're like, oh yeah, these are mats. That's $376.26. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, we just checked them. They're in there.
Like, now pay us.
Right. Or we're not going to move them again. It's like, well, just keep it moving, please. Don't stop it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We didn't know what we were doing. And I think we talked about it before. We didn't get the information from the starting point that we should have gotten. And that made everything else complicated so if you got to do the first things first, if you did the first things first, everything else kind of falls into place. But if you miss the first part,
follow a plan.
You don't know what you don't know, though.
Good point.
Because we thought we were following the plan based on what we talked to
based on the information you had
with what we were told we needed to do.
So maybe you need multiple plans. I don't know. I'm just trying to do a callback.
I know. And I agree. Everybody listen, man. I agree with making plans. All right. But I don't agree with having like linear thought. I guess is what I'm saying. So like you
fixed plans.
Yeah. You can't. You can have the best plan, but you've got to be willing to pivot hard if that plan is not going according to plan.
Agreed.
Right. So that's what I say is like, because a lot of the things that have ended up doing well for me weren't exactly planned. It just kind of developed as a result of something else. And it's like, okay, cool. We'll go with that instead. And then it's like, that's better than what I would have thought of, So it's like, that's kind of what I meant, I guess, more or less.
I get it.
Than I don't plan anything. We planned it. That's why we tried to order them like 4 or 5 months in advance, because it wouldn't have, like, they'll be there. They'll be in there a couple months in advance. Shoot. Based on what we thought. And so, yeah, it didn't materialize. And that made me very, very, very anxious over the last couple of weeks, more and more until yesterday. And then finally I was like, at the very least, that we know for sure we can.
There can occur a jiu-jitsu camp.
Without those though, there was no.
We rolling on the beach, y'all.
That wasn't gonna be good, man. That was not gonna be good.
Beach rolling isn't as much fun as it sounds.
You gotta be a special kind of like mentality, I guess.
There's a good chunk of my game that I would not use on the beach.
Yeah, I don't want to roll on the beach, man. Only
Deep half ain't happening
for funsies,
on the
maybe.
beach. That's not even fun.
I'm like with mats or whatever. Like
yeah.
Do it.
I thought we meant like in the sand. I was like, that's not even fun. That
yeah,
even
I don't like
fun.
to be dirty like that, man.
No, me either.
I'm not that guy.
I hate the sand. I love the beach, but I hate the sand.
I'll get down there with the kids or whatever, some and try to dig, but then I gotta go. Like as soon as we're done, I gotta go.
I'm in the water.
I'd be in the water, but then I gotta go from that too as soon as I get out because I don't like being that sticky, salty feeling either.
Oh,
so I can't be either one of those. Like the beach is not cool for your boy unless I'm active. You keep me going, I'm all right. But if I stop after I've done any of the things beach related,
I'm done.
I got to go get clean. I feel gross. And it's just, you could, if Mandy's in the chat, she's probably like rolling her eyes or whatever because it's the facts.
I can agree.
She's like, you just like, don't.
Speaking of the chat, I do want to go back because Egghead said that Last of the Mohicans soundtrack is great for studying or just the background in general. And I have to agree with him. Last of the Mohicans soundtrack is good. And the other, this is probably my number one favorite soundtrack ever, is the Boondock Saints. 1, not 2.
So Boondock Saints and Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, those are some good ones. Boondock Saints is my if I want a workout soundtrack, that's my go-to.
Okay. I'm gonna listen to those and see what's up with that then. Because it helps me like get into my rhythms of whatever I'm doing. I guess whatever I'm working on too, I need to have a specific sound pattern going, or it doesn't vibe right.
Yeah. You don't want to write a love letter to the Last Mohican soundtrack.
I don't want to be like super angry and hyped up doing the dishes.
I mean, you might.
I don't because I break things. I'm clumsy. Like I got these big dummy hands sometimes.
They're good for beating people up, but not necessarily putting the dishes away gingerly.
Things get slippery when I'm moving fast, and I might not have that like fine motor control.
That has to be the best quote so far.
I mean,
things get slippery when I'm moving fast.
I mean, that could be a metaphor for everything that we do.
Ooh, the Braveheart soundtrack. That's one I haven't heard in a while, Egghead.
That movie's dope. It just takes all day to watch it.
That's the point. That's like watching Dances with Wolves.
I just don't have that much time anymore.
When's the last time you watched Dances with Wolves?
Probably the only time back when I was super young. Yeah.
We used to, I think that was the only DVD me and my wife owned when we were in college at one point, and it would just play on repeat at the house. So it was just like 24 hours. So like 3 repeats of Dances with Wolves. How long?
Do what you got to do. It's a little nostalgia there for you.
Yeah.
Takes me back. I don't know, like the movies, I guess I've watched a bunch. I don't know. I guess I watched a lot of Braveheart back in the day. Like, I guess Mel Gibson was that guy back in the night. That was the 90s, right? Like The Patriot, Braveheart.
Dances with Wolves is 3 hours and 56 minutes.
See, man, I got stuff to do, dog. I gotta do the dishes or something. I gotta do this laundry. I gotta go outside and cut the grass. I may need to go teach some classes. I gotta work in my rose garden.
Wilo said that in Puerto Rico, they would hang out on the beach all day, sun up to sundown, sticky all day. He said you couldn't hang.
You disgust me. No, I can't hang, man. For real, I can't. Like, I'll feel very, very bad about myself.
Yeah.
Out there gross like that. Let me get cleaned up. I'll come back. And then just like put me in a chair or something like that in the shade.
Give me a frozen drink.
Something like that. I'll be cool. But if I get out there and get active or whatever, let's keep it moving, or otherwise we got to stop. Like, full stop.
Get out there and play some bocce ball.
Something. Bocce's fun. I haven't done that in a long time.
I love some bocce ball. My dad loves some bocce ball.
That's fun. I haven't done that. God, now I'm going to be an old man.
It's been
in enough years that it sounds like. That's when you're an adult, when you can have to be like, man, there's been so many, like, geez Louise. I'm old now.
I forgot what there's something that was recently like 17 years old that I was like, oh God.
Oh yeah, now people are posting a lot of those where like if Dazed and Confused came out.
Yeah, that was it. Class 2005.
Yeah. It's like there were a lot. It's like, man, them nerds.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Although I wouldn't mind.
I know a lot of those people.
2005 Dazed and Confused. I wouldn't mind seeing that get made personally. Like that would be kind of cool.
I have to think back and look at what exactly like 2005 was like.
Oh, it
'Cause
was wild.
I'm sure for me too.
I
That's
mean, I was in high school, so only so wild. I mean, let's see, 2005, I was 15.
yeah.
So
I was 22, so
you probably
things were
haven't.
a little dicey. It could have went either way for sure, depending on where we were at in the year.
What moment? Where was the moon?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. 22 was wild. Yeah. Yeah. Learned a lot. Learned a lot about life in
Yeah.
those years. Yeah. I mean,
22.
that's when
What
I got.
was it? What was happening at 22 for you?
So, man, it was pretty rough. Like, it was rough. It was coming off some bad stuff, I guess. And so I was like trying to figure out what I guess the meaning of life was in a lot of ways. Like, my dad passed away in January of '04, I guess it is. Look at yeah, and then my best friend or one of my best friends passed away in June of that year in a car accident. So like two of the really like important people, most important people at that time for sure in my
Probably
life.
something that shaped most of what you were
A lot
becoming
of who
then.
I
Yeah.
am now for sure comes off of a lot of those times and experiences or whatever, and like and other things similarly, but definitely like that process took some time, and like I spent some time in the church, so I might have actually been in church mostly at that time.
Wow.
Actually, thinking about it timeline wise,
Yeah.
because I met some cool people, or I knew some cool people already, and then when it started happening, I started kind of going to church a lot, and then the things that happen in churches sometimes, and people fall out, and I wasn't mature enough to kind of understand what was happening around me, so I just kind of bailed out of that too because it was starting to get dicey emotionally for me, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that
Yeah.
either. So then that's when I kind of went astray, I guess, more, and was like, I'm just gonna go.
You thought you found the thing that was going to help fix a lot of what you were feeling, and then
Right.
that thing
And then that
ended
wasn't
up being just another thing that was
right.
yeah.
I misread it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily anybody else's fault or whatever either. Like, I'm not blaming the church or anything either
No.
necessarily, but just like I misread the situation.
I think anything can do that to people. I think people don't acknowledge what something can become. I think that happens in jiu-jitsu. I think that the idol worship that we have and things that happen in jiu-jitsu kind of like blinds people sometimes, and they allow things to happen that you like what you're talking about in the church. It's just different things that happen. It's people
Well,
behaving like
a
the way
lot
that
of
they
it was
do.
that these were people, some of them were people that were in the church that I grew up in as a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the choir
yeah.
director and his daughters and some of the other people that I knew from when I was a small boy. And things were pretty good in my mind. Like my memories of those times kind of were good, and so being back around them again was like, wow, this must be meant to be. Like it must, because I didn't know that going in. Like I didn't know they were there, and then I got there and I was like, whoa, oh wow, okay, cool,
Mhm.
and then other people got super close with and ended up. I think part of it was like my pastor ended up being also one of the guys that I worked with somewhere because he worked a full-time gig or whatever.
Right.
And then, you just kind of get on another level with certain people. And we became friendly and different things. And then, I don't know, nothing like he didn't do anything wrong in my opinion, but then he left like for whatever reason. And then that was kind of just like, all right, well, I'm all right too then.
Kind of voided. Yeah.
Just like, it is what it is. Kind
So
of
then
deal.
you had to go
sorta.
learn by experience on some stuff.
And just went back out into the world, so to say, and I keep a lot of those same values, I guess, man, of what, and I guess it's something I see a lot of people like talking about more or less, but like what you think it should really mean to be like a Christian, or like if you follow what Jesus would do, what would Jesus do, or what? That's like our generation, right? Like WWJD, like what would Jesus do, right? So what would Jesus do in a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in these days, man? I don't think it's what a lot of people who call themselves Christians would always immediately choose to do.
I think when you add the humanity aspect, and that when people behave in their own
people are
personal
people,
interest,
right? People are people. That's the thing. It's like humans are humans, and at 22, coming off of, or 20, yeah, whatever that, like
You
whenever this
think those
happened,
people have it figured out, and
they
really
knew
they're
everything.
feeling it
Yeah,
out
they're still
too.
learning
Yeah,
also. And at that point,
yeah.
I didn't know. I
You
didn't
don't
know.
understand that.
Again, it didn't
Yeah,
occur to me that humans are gonna always be learning and evolving, and that the
flawed
adults,
to an extent.
well, the adults don't all know everything. That
Right.
every adult doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
Like every adult isn't automatically like got their stuff together on every single level. You
And like
know?
I was saying, that ties back into like what I was saying is that like every black belt doesn't mean that they have life figured out.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're a black belt, or yeah, they're a pro fighter, or yeah, they're this or that. But like, do they have everything else figured out? Like,
Probably not everything,
yeah,
right? And that's why I tell you guys all the time about myself. Is like there's a lot of things I feel really comfortable talking about and giving advice and tips on or whatever. But if it's out of my wheelhouse, I'll be happy to tell you that I don't think that's something I do well or should. I don't know anything about that
yeah,
really.
yeah.
You could tell me about that. I think, stuff like that, because that's how people. Excuse me. That's how people are. You have experiences that I don't have. That
So how would you tell 22-year-old you to like absorb that or avoid that, or do you think 22-year-old you needed to go through all that to have what you have now?
I think to a degree, for sure, I needed to go through all that because there was a lot of other things intertwined with it. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff. But that's the thing. I think it was just that time in my life,
Right.
And overall, maybe I wish I could have like pumped the brakes on a bunch of things in and around that time that was going on, but it wasn't up to me necessarily. And that's kind of what I guess I'm saying with like my dad and with Thomas, and that's Thomas. That's why Thomas is Thomas. My son is, it's like I didn't know. I didn't know what was supposed to happen. Like I'd experienced this stuff, and like everybody else was okay, and everybody else was like doing their thing or whatever. At least from what I could understand, because they had either lost one or the other, you know, and so it was weird and it was hard because I had this job, like I had a real good job, at the time or whatever, and I was able to make good money for a 21-year-old single man or whatever with no kids or whatever. But it was a hard job, but I was doing well if I wanted to. But then when those two things happened, I I stopped doing well. You know what I mean? I stopped really caring about the job. I stopped really. That's I guess where a lot of that happened. I stopped really thinking about wanting to work myself to death to make money and stuff like that because like with my daddy or whatever, it's like he's older, blah blah, give yourself some excuses or whatever. But it's like what Thomas is like, he's 19, 20 years old. There's no like, so what does that mean now? What does that mean for holding out, and holding on to stuff or what, So I would have tried to tell myself to like slow down a little bit, try to just like let things develop a little bit more around you instead of just forcing things sometimes. But that's
Patience.
yeah, I mean, and that's just my nature though. That's still the thing I struggle with a lot of times is like not forcing my will onto to things around me that I don't have control over. Because I consider myself being helpful. Like I just want to help the situation out. But then
you want to fix it or make
right.
it. Yeah.
But I can't though.
Yeah.
Some things you can't. It's not up to me to do that stuff, and that was a lot of the stuff that I guess I wish I would have had some explaining on. It's just like, listen, young man, just sit back and chill. Things are going to happen around you that you just got to like let happen, sort of, and then go from there. Don't like waste time trying to figure it out what had happened had happened. Now we got to go from this to that, or from there to wherever. You know what I mean?
Do you think there were moments that like maybe you like quote unquote wasted time and weren't learning things?
Oh, 100%. Spent way too
because
much.
you were trying to like make something work.
I wanted to figure. Dude, I was so worried about a lot of stuff. I didn't know what to do, where I was going. Like I didn't have any real direction. I didn't know. This was long before I decided to go train to be a fighter. This is part of the first part of that.
You started cracking into that part of your brain.
That journey that was starting to happen to where I was realizing that I needed to be somebody else. You know what I mean? That what all I thought I was supposed to be wasn't right.
Or do you think that existed in you? You just didn't know how to let it out? Or do you think that you were trying to reform who you were?
I think I was trying to be what I thought everybody else was wanting me to be. And that wasn't working out anyway. and I was doing the best I could, I thought, but it still wasn't working out either, like in the ways that I wanted to be happy, you know. Like I said, I was getting enough money to do anything I needed to do with money, you know, if I wanted to, but I didn't
Right.
really do anything with it except for waste it on, you know, frivolous stuff or then partying
In the
after I
moment.
got done.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever would
Just
make
burning it up.
yeah, for friends or for whatever, you know, big barbecues or
Because that
you
felt
know what.
like
Yeah, it was
people
happiness that
liked me.
people
Yeah.
around me,
Yeah. Yeah.
getting people around and family and like, you know, friends and stuff. And you know, just like holding on to relationships too long. I wish I could have told myself to kind of, you know, people are like I say, people are gonna be who they're gonna be, you know, and it's not up to me to like
Change them.
reform people and to
Mhm.
change them or expect them to change, even that they would even want to
That they're
change.
even at that point in
They
their
don't.
journey that
They
they're
may not
going to.
ever
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
though. You know what I
That may
mean?
be who they are.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
who this like
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
People show you who they are. Believe them.
Let them be who
Just
they
let
are.
them.
Yeah.
You know, you can't wait to save them or hold on to the relationship with somebody for fear that they're gonna die between the next like conversations or whatever. Because that's not healthy either. You know, not challenging certain situations for fear of leaving somebody with an argument instead of, you know, having figured it out and talked it out somehow, not being able to disagree and let it be about stuff. Like you had to understand me, like I had to prove my point, I had to be right, or you had to,
They couldn't be wrong.
or yeah, exactly, like they could not be wrong, at
You
least in
could
my
not let them
opinion.
walk out of that room not
Yes,
being told.
understood, you know. And so there
But you
was,
felt you were doing something good there, right?
I
Like you
thought I
felt,
was
yeah,
doing the
right.
right
You thought you
thing.
were helping.
I think, yeah, I felt like I always have been, and that's always been like the mo for who I wanted to be, I guess. And we talked about it, like always kind of wanted to be a good citizen, you know, and stuff like that. But I didn't know what it really meant in the world because I wasn't in the world. You know what I mean? I didn't live in the city of something or in a big city or in, you know, anything like that. So all I knew was basically like when I would go to school. Like I didn't go to any preschool or pre-Ks or anything like that. So I only knew my cousins and friends and stuff like that. So then when I got to school, all these other kids like knew each other and stuff. So I didn't really know a lot of the kids and stuff. So and then people were like MTV or whatever. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff or any of the cable TV channels or stuff. So it like I didn't know anything about stuff.
Pop
So yeah,
culture.
just
And
kind
yeah.
of just went along with whatever I assumed was right, you know, and the way that I thought it was kind of supposed to be. So like I didn't really do anything like when I was in high school or whatever. Like I wasn't like a party guy or whatever for most of like until I was probably 21 almost or close to 21, probably 20, mid 20s. I started, I guess, drinking a little bit, but I was mostly the guy that was like designated driver for people and going to pick people up and taking them places and making sure all that kind of stuff was done.
Because you had a
You know,
conscience and a,
yeah, I was
yeah.
aware of some stuff, you know, at least. And so I was trying to be good and like, you know, don't drink and drive and like dare and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
that stuff all made like a big impression on me when I was a kid. And so then you get up and you grow up into what the world actually is a lot of times, and it's like shades of gray.
Yeah.
And some of the officers that were officers got in trouble for stuff, or their brother was somebody that was doing something when you get older, and you're like, wow, that's weird. You know, like I don't know how that works. Like I don't know how that I still don't know how that works. But like
Yeah.
that's the world though. Like if you're
People
not
keep making concessions and doing things, and you're like, well, and then you're
yeah,
like, well, you lied to me. You said
yeah.
this was bad. You said this was wrong. You said not to do this.
It's situational though.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what most people live up with is like there's everything is kind of conditional or situational to what's most convenient or best for their self,
Well,
you
and
know, in a lot of
they have
ways.
nothing to do with you, like their opinion, their
Right,
thing. Like
exactly.
it shouldn't affect you.
Not really.
Yeah.
No. Right. And that's the thing is like whatever my direction was going to be, it was kind of going on like down this path for a long time. Like, and then I think I've mentioned that to you too, but like in like sixth grade or whatever, I was trying to be on like the Eagle Eye News team. Was like that was we were the Eagles or whatever. So I was like trying to be like either the camera person or like be the anchor man or whatever. So I would get on and like, this is what we're gonna do for whatever, you know, and like just trying to figure out what that was and how I could put myself into those situations, you know. wanting to go be something like that, something that would be memorable, for myself instead of not be, instead of just being the same. And then so finally, through those times and the struggles or whatever, and then a couple of years of just like existing, that's where I started really like finding the enlightenment, I guess, to bounce and get the hell out of there, because it wasn't doing me or anyone else any good for me to stay and keep doing what I was doing. It was just a really, really bad path. Nothing bad was happening yet, but it was going to get to the point where either for me or for somebody else, it would have ended up in a bad situation. It just wasn't helpful. And so
change of people, places type deal.
I had to do it. I had to do it to reinvent myself, I guess, in a
change
way.
the scenery to change yourself.
Well, that could just, I was talking about, I guess, Beth and Secca.
Oof.
Seth and Becca. We're talking about that this morning a little bit about, I just needed to get out of there to change and be who I thought I wanted to be,
right,
instead of who everybody else thought I was.
Yeah.
And like what I thought I couldn't get away from, even if I maybe could have or whatever, mentally, I thought I was stuck being this character in the world because that's what everybody saw me as, whether they did or didn't. Like some people did maybe not even thought any of the things I thought they thought about me. But I needed to go so that way I could just act the way I wanted to act and be who I wanted to be and see what that was going to be like.
Yeah.
And that's how I developed like this person that's here today. Like it's based and rooted in a lot of those same like traditions and stuff. And like, I guess the music, that's why I like piano music and stuff like that. Cause growing in the Baptist church and stuff is just straight pianos and stuff. We didn't have the modern like guitars and like drums and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it was just
power chord after
Miss
power
Donna
chord
playing the
after
piano, Brother Nathan and a bunch of old white folks singing,
Yeah.
That's what it was, and that's why I say a lot of that stuff is still like the roots of who I am. And even
so
if
it taps into a different type of nostalgia almost.
For sure. A bunch of them, right? A bunch of different, and that's what I mean about the music is like it can put me in a place that is either better or worse. A lot of times, if I hear certain songs, it can take you to like maybe that place in time almost, and then it's like, oh, I got to leave here quickly. This isn't good, And then sometimes you hear that same song, depending on the environment you're kind of in, and it's kind of fun, and you're having a good time with it. But sometimes it's like, no, I can't go there today.
I can't think of the name of it right now, but I can hear the tune in my head. But it's the one that I knew lunch was coming. It's the most Southern Baptist thing I could come up with right then. Praise God from whom? Oh, that one. So here comes lunch.
All right. We're in here. Hey, listen, everybody has their things that they were looking forward to, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we had to go. We went to grandma's house to eat. Yeah. So we'd go to grandma's.
Okay.
She would cook, and like I went with my Aunt Kay. She came and picked me up from our house, and I would just ride with her over there, and then we go to my grandma and granddaddy's and have lunch, and I'd hang out with my cousins.
Get some pound cake.
Yeah, just like some family time kind of too, which is stuff that doesn't really exist a lot of times these days.
That's what Sundays was always for us. Like it was always kind of like that recovery day. Everybody went like that whole afternoon. Everybody was just kind of around, and like
I just went because I wanted to get out of the house a lot of times too. But then I had fun.
Right.
Like I was having fun at church and like friends and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a thing to do. And I guess that's what a lot of churches were for people back in the day too, is like, it's a community to get together and like have this vibe of like fellowship and doing the right thing, So yeah.
Clint Kelly said that you're my hero, son.
Oh, my boy. Dude. Thank you for watching, man. I love you, dude. He was my roommate at that time.
Oh, dope.
Clint and I lived. It was not good for Clint. I love you, man. He saw it. Like he saw it. He saw the whole thing. Like that's why he's saying that. I love you, dude. He saw the whole thing. It's been a bunch of shit. But yeah, man, figuring it out, putting it together piece by piece, and trying to make it my interpretation of the situation, and making it real, and dude, I used to, like, that's not a joke. Like this, Clint knows too. I used to write raps, like I'm talking about with Evan. I was writing, like, I was trying to write Christian raps. Yeah, that's your boy, son. What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where life's going. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out how things were gonna be for me. I didn't know, but I knew that I needed to do something. I needed to kind of create in some way, but I didn't have the chops to make music, I guess.
Well, to turn it out, like I have one of my best friends, which he watches some of our stuff. So if he's watching, like, it's my homie. But he's one of the most talented musicians that I've ever met in my life. And the hardest thing that I've had, we were roommates, probably similar time period. Yeah, like 2021. And like since then, so I'm 30. So for a decade, I've been trying to get him to put an album out. He has some of the best music. He has music that he has made that I'm like, I could make an album out of this for you, and it would be amazing. He's like, yeah, but it's not perfect. I'm like, bro,
oh, that's the hard part.
So
right?
Good.
That's the hard part. It's got to be perfect, man. Yeah. And I struggle with that stuff too. Even now, even with some of the stuff that we're doing with the online instructionals and different, like the classes and stuff that we teach and then I have going on. I want to make sure I'm doing good. Like it's got to be really, really good. And there can't be like I know that, like, this is the biggest thing. Like, your flaws and where you may have messed up and what you might have missed, but most people may not know.
They won't even see it.
Like it's, not if you're doing a really good job overall, so that perfection thing, man, that kills. Like
Stack Mama's asking for a freestyle.
I'm out of practice.
Sway in the morning.
How Sway?
Oh,
hey, dude, I do. I was listening to some like freestyles and stuff on the way up here. I do. I like listening to.
Do you like that podcast I sent you, No Jumper? Do you ever listen to his stuff?
I don't think I ever got that. Did you send it to me?
I may have. I'll send it to you again. There was a really interesting one of I can't remember the one that I'll look at the one that I sent you, but like he does that. He's probably like this generation's version of like that show. And
Rick Rubin's got a lot of good interviews with people. Like I really like listening to his conversations with people because he knows like a lot of questions to ask that I like, again, stuff that wouldn't even occur to me. He asked that question or kind of leads it into the
how
into
different
that realm.
Do you think that like 22-year-old Steven would have been if you had the internet, like podcasts and all this stuff? Do you think that you would have been able to educate yourself even though you were off? Because I was the same way. I was like climbing up in my parents' attic, like getting an antenna so I could get the college station from Auburn. Like
as a younger person, for sure,
if you had been able to just like crazy. Research and
dude, that's all. Like I used to read a lot and I'd go out and just fiddle and I didn't have anything to do. Like so, I would have definitely, at least I'm not sure what the realm would have perhaps been, at this point. Maybe it would, like, I don't know, as a kid it was baseball a lot and sports, and stuff like that. But
I'm a free range learner. I'll learn a lot if you just let me go learn. But if you like force me to learn, it's like that thing I sent you from Facebook from like 12 years ago where I like showed up in the wrong college class and sat through like 30 minutes of the class.
Not even your class.
Yeah. Like I'm not the best student when it comes to like having to. Until I got older, I figured out how to organize my brain now that I can. But
we're about to say you figured out what you were dealing with instead of just trying to be like everybody else was telling you to do.
I had friends of mine that explained to me their ADHD when I was like in college, and I was like, "Oh,
that's a thing. It's a thing. It's a real thing."
But I didn't medicate mine away, and so like I don't have a lot of the negative byproduct of that when I was a kid. That became, what it did for some of my friends that were explaining that to me. So like, I don't necessarily like knock it because like my parents didn't throw me on medications when I was young for it. And
me neither.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Like, I think it benefited me, honestly, in the long run.
To some degrees, for sure. I wish maybe there could have been a little more education about it, to me, at least, even. So that
I could understand that.
I knew what I was dealing with more or less. Instead,
I'm a little younger than you too, so like some of I kind of knew about it myself because I could watch like information. So like 5-6 years had gone by the time I was dealing with it in a heavy thing. So you were probably dealing with it
it came up when I was like in kindergarten.
Yeah,
and they wanted to get me like medicated or whatever, or tested or what. I don't even know which. I don't know which it was.
What brought it up?
I was rambunctious. I was super rambunctious, man. But then like you just put me in school and I've been like free range my entire life. And like, so
Right.
now somebody's telling me to hush and sit down, and like, there's all these kids here, and they probably were laughing. So I was probably like performing,
Cutting up.
you know.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first thing I got sent to the office for ever was like standing on my chair in class in kindergarten. I got a discipline referral for that. So like that was something that was going on with me, and I've always kind of been that way though, you know. And sometimes it hurt me because I didn't understand. Like I said, I didn't
You didn't know what
understand.
you were doing.
But that's why I would procrastinate until I needed that tight deadline to give me that stimulus to work hard on what I needed to do. You know what I mean? And then fighting all made sense now. Needed that high risk, high reward kind of scenario to keep my attention.
Yeah.
Other stuff didn't keep, like I couldn't stay focused on it long
Exactly.
enough to find a result because there wasn't enough at risk. But with fighting, I kept in my mind how dangerous it was if I wasn't staying in shape and trying to
Do
always
you see that
improve.
benefit young kids that train now? Do they make that connection?
I haven't done enough with the young kids yet
Mhm.
and haven't studied enough ways to kind of talk it through yet to say that. But that's part of what I want to figure out, I think, too,
Yeah.
because a lot of people say that about, you know, and I know that about myself. That's what I'm saying. So I know that other
That's what
people
I was
say
saying
that.
is
And
that
so I
like from
wonder,
yourself, do you think that maybe that transfers that
I
if
think
young
so.
you had jujitsu, that maybe that would have balanced that out for you a little bit? Because
I always wanted to do something like that. Like I
yeah,
always wanted to do martial arts or boxing or professional wrestling or
yeah,
whatever like
lots of
that.
kids like are
Well,
like,
just
oh, that
because
looks fun.
it was exciting and it
Yeah.
was, you know, it's stimulating. Again, like I said, because there wasn't all these screens and stuff that we could hold and get that dopamine hit from. So you had to go out
Yeah.
and earn it, you know.
Mm.
Like that was the thing, you
Right.
know. It was like you had to go do something to get that.
Oh, go build a shaky ramp and launch
and
Isaac
jump
off of it and
yourself.
see if it
Yeah,
works. Yeah.
exactly. Or try to jump over these cactuses or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, or go
Touch the cow wire.
Yeah, just
See
walk
who
around.
can hold it longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just walk around in the woods
I
with
grew
a
up in the country too,
shotgun.
homie.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, just doing
Yeah.
stuff.
Chasing squirrels around.
Yeah, just doing stuff. And then at that point, though, I guess, like you said, that how old are you?
31.
Yeah, so that like 7 year age gap was probably pretty big between like 83 and 90 or whatever
Yeah.
it was, as far
Yeah.
as like access to information.
100%.
We didn't even have it in the classroom until 6th grade or 7th grade. Like we had to still go to computer labs probably, and even
Yeah.
in 6th grade maybe.
Yeah.
Like to even get on a computer, like not even to have a computer.
Yeah.
Like to even, like I still even had to go to school with access and permission to go to a computer lab, probably to even get. So that's what's you know, it's great. And I was listening to, I guess, some of those things and kind of like we're talking about the tipping point a little bit too, but like some of that stuff, like some of the best programmers for computers and stuff, like Bill Gates and those guys, the only reason that they became who they are is because they had access as high schoolers before other people had access.
Yeah.
They were in certain places,
certain places, certain demographics, certain areas,
and just
could,
where this one school happened to do this one deal with this.
I happen
company,
to live in Cambridge when I'm 16,
and they were like, we're gonna outfit this school, and one of the parents is actually like a part of this company that's doing research. Well, if you guys will help us with this research, you can get unlimited access to coding time on these computers also. And it's like, okay, well, literally you had to be in that one school to get that. And so, you know, that like literally that gives you the advantage on people and stuff like that. So it's just really interesting when you think about the small things that start leading to the big things, you know? And so I guess that's why I say about just kind of sitting back a little bit more and seeing like where things maybe develop instead of just like changing so fast when the energy slows down. You know, I think that's probably an ADHD thing for sure, is just looking for that next high, and that next high could be just the next like stimulating thing that could be going on, you know. And so just not throwing one thing down because the other thing lights up, kind of deal. Like just sitting with the one thing, even if it's not always like super exciting. Let's just kind of.
I've learned through a couple things of just like watching, like you can watch something develop, and like you said, like you can see the pattern, and you're like, oh, I've seen this before. And like it's some of those things that you're like, all right, hold on and wait. Yep, that next thing just happened. Like it's almost like in jujitsu. It's almost like it ties in of like that's how you learn how to do moves. Is like a blue belt is somebody that like a mid-grade blue belt is somebody with timing. And
A
as they
little
get
bit,
more
yeah.
purple, like that's what like when they start understanding the moves and when to do them. Like
Yeah, it's a process, dude. It's a process, and everything is a process like that. So I think like it helped me with the problem solving. It helped me with patience. It helped me with all that kind of stuff. Uh, it made me respect the value of all those things in a way that I wouldn't have without the dangers of maybe getting beat up in front of everybody coming down. So I wanted to be as mentally tough, physically, tough, conditioned, technical, all the things. I wanted to have that like stoic entrance when I came in and not be hyped up. So I wanted to be able to keep that whole straight face kind of play as much as I could, not to give anything away, because people can see a lot through your expressions, even in real life. You know what I mean? Not just in the fight, but in life, you got to be able to kind of keep your poker face, I guess, to say, you can't let people always read you and your emotions. And I used to be pretty bad at that. And I probably still am to a degree. At least I think I am. But
I think we all have moments. I think that's like sometimes of the human aspect that you talked about.
Yeah, everybody's like that, and that's the thing is like I'm understanding, even you're never infallible. You never know
No one is.
everything. That nothing's always right. Nothing's always concrete. There's always another thing that you didn't. Again, something else that you didn't consider can happen, and even that's what's gonna define the situation. Is that thing that comes up and how you handle it, either good or bad, and then where you go from when the thing, whatever it was, happens. And that's jujitsu too. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, he's starting to recover his guard. How do I handle this? Do I tactfully just like block that guard retention and retain position, or do I now, while he's trying to move, do my opportunity to try to advance even further, but it's at risk of complete failure if I do that. So you can, what I mean? There's that moment comes up in life too, to where you have to choose. You have to choose. And if you don't choose, that's choosing. Like you're choosing one outcome. If you don't, like if you try to, I'm not gonna make a choice. That's still choosing one of the So jujitsu has helped me with like deciding stuff and just going with it, and then understanding
living with the choice.
Whatever it is, baby, we got to keep going now. Let's get those frames
This
in.
Is the choice
We're gonna slow down and breathe now because
I stop, I die.
Up. I messed up. I gotta get back to a good position. What's the easiest and safest way for me to get back to a safe place? That's everything, right? And so if you miss, that way you can just start over. You just start back at the beginning again and try it again. And that's not I guess that's kind of what I was saying about the plan. That like that last week, like jokingly, I guess, or whatever. It's like that's the plan in a way. Is like you just got to keep trying, and if you get reset, then you just got to like try to do it again, but maybe faster because you saw the way already one time to get to, like, you've already gotten to here one time, kind of like playing a video game, sort of like I've already beat to this far, so now I understand how to time those jumps, so I can get there faster now and not lose any men to get there, and so now I can go further the next time before I lose all my chances.
Understanding the data or that you're receiving each time type. Yeah.
Reverse engineering, even like stuff,
I was talking to Seth after he did the PGF qualifier with me. Like he was in the same bracket I was in down there in Jacksonville. And like it ran pretty, like his round ran pretty quick. And I asked him, I was like, like, how do you feel? Like, what does it feel like? And without me saying anything about it, he brought up the fact of like that was like 1,000 classes in like 30 seconds. It's like, yeah, you learn real fast when things are going south.
It matters
at a game that high of a level. Yeah.
And and this is the funny thing is, like, even as fast as that was, I told him, and people don't get it maybe sometimes too, but like he even showed some improvement in matches
between that. Yeah.
Like prior to that one, his match right before that, it was obviously against a higher level opponent than the other one, but he still corrected the problem that he made in the first one. Yeah. And the guy countered his next
counter to a counter
because he didn't fully protect that same scenario, even though he protected it mostly.
Almost like he
Yeah.
might not have understood the context of the next step.
He didn't know all
It's
of
like
it
it all
yet.
ties
Right.
together.
It just is there's a continuation
Mhm.
principle a lot of times.
Mhm.
I think of it a lot of time process of escalation kind of like
Mm.
I want to tap you with this first and easiest thing, but the more that you resist, I've got to keep escalating to until I get the break or until I get you to submit that and agree that you're done. You know, so it's just like a process of escalation. I don't want to go that hard
In competition, yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
ever, really. I
Well,
mean,
in
for
any
fun
sense.
sometimes, you know.
Funsies.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But like, not if it ever really matters. I want to always stay super efficient and come out clean as I possibly can. So there's a lot of give and take with that, and so you got to go out there and you got to get those experiences like that, and that it shortens the learning curve. It does. It go out there and have that really emotional attachment to a situation, and you start shutting down those situations. So the more that Seth can, the better he'll be in the long run here. Oh, damn, we already went for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we have.
All right. Well,
I
hey,
didn't know if you want to talk in the modern world of what's going on.
Do y'all care about the modern world? Who's watching?
I
Is anybody
mean,
paying attention?
there's
All
a
these
there's
people
a chunk
watching?
of little people in here.
Chunk of
Say
big
hey to the people.
Hey, people.
Pete said that connection
Yeah.
and purpose is what drives us in jiu-jitsu as well as religion.
It could go the same, right? They feel similar if you can take away some of the other stuff and just like pull back and think about a lot of the outside pieces of it, you know, the bigger picture, I guess I would say. But yeah, we're talking about some of the who's number one stuff is this
What
Saturday.
are you most excited about and who's number one Saturday?
Dude, honestly, I thought that there was going to be a bigger deal than some of these brackets, but I think that they kind of they had some dropouts. I'm still most hyped probably for the men's 55.
Yeah.
I want to see who's going to come out of that one because it's still pretty stacked. You know, it's got Mikey Musumeci and Gio Martinez in there.
Do you think we'll see? I heard him talking
Cade
on around the
Rotolo.
mat yesterday. Do you think you'll see a rematch between Gio and Mikey?
I don't know.
What do you
And,
call
like,
in that rematch if they do see each other in the bracket? I mean, you're gonna roll with your homie. I know,
I'd be
but
interested to see how it goes down. Like,
Yeah.
of course, like Gio's my guy.
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I know
I
what your
don't
pick
know.
is, but I want to know what like
I would
you
like
think
to
it does.
see more now of how Gio is going to answer some of those entries
Mhm.
that got him in some trouble against Mikey. Because Gio's always constantly working hard and evolving and trying to, you know, get better to be able to, he wants to be the best, like literally, like, and this is what we talk about with some people, like he literally wants to be the best. He doesn't just like say, I want to be the best. Like he's out there literally trying to do it, like mentally, physically living it, walking it every day. And so I'm sure since that last match, he's done a ton of work to answer some of those questions. Now, is Mikey able to also have answered some of the problems he had, you know, in that match where he couldn't get those finishes that he had good looks at? You know, I think that's what makes that the most interesting to me, besides the yapping or whatever and the whining after the match and stuff like that. That doesn't, man, that shouldn't even necessarily be a part of it. I would like to see which one of these two tacticians is going to come out there and put it down like
better skill set.
their way. You know what I mean? And get the win. And this is at 55 too, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll be heavier because they're both
What does
smaller.
Gio walk at?
40 something, I thought.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he was
Like he
a
may
little
be
bit
bigger
smaller
than
frame.
last time I talked to him, I guess, but I think he walks at 40 something.
I was gonna say his frame doesn't look much bigger than like 50.
Yeah, that's why he can stay in those brackets, you know, easily
Yeah.
and go hard. So that's definitely one. But then you got like Cade Rotolo in there, who's pretty big. He's a big guy for 55. He's made some waves at 70 before, I feel like, too.
So that means he's walking in that like upper 60s, 70s.
I think so. I think, you know, I think he's been 70 before and done well. I may have him and Ty mixed up. I know Ty has done 70s and done well too. And he's in there, I think, at the 85 bracket, right? Yeah. See, they got him up at 85. And so one of those guys is either went up and down or whatever. Because that's interesting because I know they're at 70. So that's definitely my most interesting situation going on. I want to see all these matches because you never know who's going to come out on top. But then the women's, obviously 115. Grace Gundram's in there. She's another like heavy 10th Planet representative. She's not really lost any matches except for I think she lost one in last year on points, maybe, or ref's decision in several years. So seeing her come up against some of these other ladies again, in this format. Super exciting. I know Maya Sabastos is really great. And I've seen Jessa Khan before in competition, so she's really up and coming. I don't know. I think she's a black belt. I'm not sure now, but she's at the Art of Jiu Jitsu AOJ guys, the Mendez brothers camp. I think still. So that's going to be good, dude. The men's 85, having Thor in there. Like I don't know how everybody's excited about Thor. I know I'm like a 10 planet homer kind of dude right now, but I am excited to see all these guys go in there. Obviously, like you got Ty Rotolo in there, Mika Gival, Dante Leon, Tackett, like all those guys are great. Jimenez, those guys are all great, right? And like that's cool. I'm glad they're all going to make, but I want to see what Thor can do with those guys because he's someone that I know, right? I've met this guy and I know who he is. So I'm really excited to see what he does and see if he can pull it out because I know he's got a style that can like catch some people. And he's beat some big names already before. He's been on a big stage, 80cc veteran, and I don't know if I think this was mentioned, but some of those other guys haven't done that format before, even though they've been in elite level like competitions. They've not done 80cc itself before.
Right.
And I think this is like a precursor to that, but then the women's heavyweight division, obviously Gabby Garcia is like everybody's favorite for the most part. I think people are choosing not to choose her because they'd rather like not see her win it again.
Do you think that what is women's heavyweight? What is the cutoff for heavyweight in their division? I honestly don't know. I can look it up.
Is there a limit?
Keep talking.
Is it? I think it might be. It might be unlimited, right? Like dudes.
All the way up. I meant more of like where's the start?
It's in the low
225.
No, it's in the 30s or 40s. I think. Maybe 50 is when it starts, but it's only 30 or 40, I think. 80cc only has 2 brackets.
Yeah. They have up and down.
Yeah. So I'm not sure which one it is. I think they added 3 actually, because 15 is this is the first time they added 115s. They'll have 3 divisions now. But I think women's heavyweight's like 45 and up. But in that division, Gabby Garcia, Elizabeth Clay, Anna Carolina Vieira, really good. Amanda Lowen, the 10th planet black belt. I think she's out of Portland, I believe. Yeah, with Phil Schwartz and those guys, really tough. And then somebody I know, a good friend of mine, Kendall Roosing, who I think is going to hopefully come out there and establish herself as one of these top contenders going into the ADCC like seasons. She is a black belt in the Gracie Baja system. Her dad was one of my coaches for a long time and gave me he promoted me through all my ranks up to brown belt and stuff. So I'm pretty familiar with them. She's been training literally basically her whole life in one shape or form. Wrestled in high school, went to like the national cadet world team, came back, started jiu-jitsu again. It's just been like improving throughout time. And so I would really love to see her get in there and find herself up at the top of that bracket. And she's like I said, she's won some stuff, but still has fallen short against certain people certain times. I think she had a match with Elizabeth Clay at Fight to Win, and I think Elizabeth got her on the decision. I'm not sure.
Is 80cc heavyweight 70 kilograms for women?
I think so.
150 pounds is the cut. So Gabby Garcia is going to some of those women.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's literally like 40. That's what I was saying. That's it. And it used to only be like up and down.
Yeah. And that's I was looking on the ADCC's website. If you were
110 or 125, you had no chance.
They got 50, 55, 60, 65, and 70. So they got like 70 and below, 70 and above. Good Lord.
Yep. And that's
but like. the ladies are getting the same size.
It's getting depth now, though.
As like her, and then they're being skilled.
Well, now, yeah, that too. Some of them, but nobody's that big. Some of them are bigger women now, but none of them are like that tall and that
like
big.
A linebacker.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the skill level is definitely
catching up.
Passing probably even in some ways. Like, again, like I was saying, like me just knowing more about Kendall herself, just like knowing that she's been doing it literally for so long and seeing like the technical progressions that she's kind of went through and the ups and downs, the competition scenes that she's went through, winning and losing, and the way that kind of understanding helps you in a different way than somebody you can go out here and you just like
God, that would be daunting. Imagine being a 150-pound lady.
Oh, no doubt. no doubt.
And be like, I want to go try out the like how all of us do. Go, I'm gonna go dip my toe in that. Oh my!
Just get smacked down, bro. That's why that's not the only reason, but that's been
I
one
mean,
of the main reasons.
I'm not trying to take away from her, but I was just that I always forget that until every time this comes around and I look at the weight classes. I'm like, we haven't changed this.
It's a huge advantage, dude. It's a huge advantage.
That's not fair, bro. Like
so. Yeah, I mean, but that's the same thing with us. Like I said, if I came in when I'm in my really good shape at 225 or 230, I would need to go down to the 220s or 219s probably. I think is what it is for guys, which is okay, right? It's not that big of a deal, but anything over that,
but if my only
open.
option was to compete against you, now I understand there's absolutes and there's the whole like weight doesn't matter in jiu-jitsu, but like, and I understand that argument. But like, I know I'm signing up for an absolute at that point. I know that I have. But
when you sign up at heavyweight for men, it could be Orlando Sanchez, and you could be 235. He's 3 something.
Yeah.
So me and him, same bracket.
Yeah.
I got it. And it's like, we're sorry, little guy. You know what I mean? So like, it's the same thing. Like heavyweights don't get any. It's hard though, because at a certain point, if you go to 250. Or whatever, there's not going to be that many people to make it super competitive.
Right.
Like there's not a lot of 300 pounders out there right now
that are
really hunting it down.
Yeah.
They do exist, but they're unicorns, kind of like the 100-pound guys or whatever, 120-pound guys. They're there. There's a number of them, but there's killers, not as many that are 150, 160. That's most of them.
That's your athletic dudes that are like the 155 through 170 is like
that's the most. Like dense, dense, whatever. What are the English language words that we use?
Depth,
dodge, dip, duck, dodge, dive, dip, darm.
Did you cover all of them?
Men's heavyweight. Kenan Duarte's in there. Oh, Orlando Sanchez, Tim Spriggs, Kyle Bame, Tex Johnson. Oh, Hasim Rita. Cool. Yeah, there's some Mason Fowler. Yeah, that's a good division. Kanan's probably the favorite. Tim Spriggs is pretty tough in that format, but I don't know that he can really hang with these guys as much anymore. I just haven't seen as much out of him except for in those like IBJJF kind of scenarios,
which is a different animal.
He did kind of handle Kyle Bame a couple of years ago, but that has been a couple of years ago too, and Kyle's been improving. So I'd like to see maybe a rematch of that to see how Kyle maybe could try again and see if there's any differences in that matchup. But yeah, I think Kanan's probably the favorite based on body of work. But then Mason Fowler's been doing a lot, but it's been in that short 5-minute kind of EBI overtime set where he's been getting guys like that a lot more than it's
catching them in the overtime and winning the overtime.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then
what's the time?
Tex is like a crazy man, and he'll break people just off the just somehow it's like grabs them. It's just like bow. And so that's just there. That's out
Throws
there.
them through a wall.
You just got to know, though. Right. You got to know what you're dealing with that cat. Like, he's coming to win.
That's what you're signing up for.
Yeah, he's coming to get down. Yeah. Like, and you better be prepared to either get him or get got. Man.
He's not a huge guy, is he?
He's not really. Like,
I've only seen him from distance and seen him compete. I've never
maybe
really
35 or 40.
That's what, okay. I would have guessed like 35.
Yeah, I think if he got much bigger than that, he probably wouldn't move the way he does. So I'm going to guess maybe 35 or 40, but I could be wrong.
Wallow said that Gio said he would accept Mikey's Facebook friend request when he beats him.
Nice. It's a gentlemanly thing to do. Right? I mean, like, that's like back in the day, people would try to add you on social media when they were going to fight you or whatever, or like their girlfriend would try to add you or some of their friend would add you or whatever. I mean, yeah.
I welcome them. Like, welcome. Hi. Hello. Welcome. Watch my weird video.
Yeah. Beat me up. I don't know, man, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So I didn't want a bunch of weirdos looking at my stuff, trying to be like me.
It's the interwebs, man.
Not back then, dude.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
It wasn't the same. Like, it wasn't the same. Not to me.
I mean,
like,
you were
mentally
MySpace, right? During that.
And then, yeah, definitely heavy on the MySpace.
Yeah. What was your song? What was your welcome song?
Oh, bro, several.
You switched it up. You had a playlist,
of course, bro. Yeah, man.
That's when I discovered playlist on MySpace, bro. I was jamming.
It's a whole mood. You know what I mean? It's like your page was important, bro. You can go in there and program it to be the way that is the whole vibe, son. People don't even know. Y'all don't even know, son. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then So that's gonna be exciting. I'm probably gonna check out that Who's Number One. Oh, and Jimmy's tournament, the Strange Matter, the
That's
kids
right.
thing. It's a kids submission only tournament. They're giving away uh, prizes that are like scholarships to the schools that the kids train at if they win.
They're gonna be streaming it on his channel.
It'll be streamed on I think it's Coach Jimmy on YouTube. Coach Jimmy Tech TCT. If you Google that, you'll find.
I'm pretty sure you'll stumble into his channel.
Some up and coming kids over here that are coming out. Probably,
it's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea, man. I think it's something that doesn't get done. Obviously, that I've never heard of it happening.
Let the kids get the taste of like kind of the new styles that we're trying to do.
You know, they're earning something besides that medal, and then maybe like the parents get a little bit of reprieve too if their kid takes that scholarship and they don't have to pay the dues or whatever to them, or if it's someone who's more fortunate, maybe they can pass that on if it, to the programs or whatever the idea could be with that. But I think it's cool too to start something like that, because if these kids, there's competition leagues and whatever that do stuff all over the place for kids or younger people for every kind of sport on the way up to develop the talent.
Build that structure like we were talking about earlier.
You build the talent up from a youth age, and then see where they land.
Oh, it's like we said, if you've been training since you were 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, it's for you. Mm-hmm. This is for you. So yeah, super excited for that one. I'm not really
interested in that. All right, we won't give him any more play. Yeah, let that troll go to rest.
I guess maybe
tapping the security guards and whatnot. You can look it up on YouTube. Yeah. Anyways,
something like that happens. I'm not really into that part of the world,
I get it.
But yeah, dude. So super glad that the mats arrived in Costa Rica. I think my whole demeanor will change now over the next few days as I get ready to go.
Elevated Steven comes.
It feels good, man. Yeah. If it will,
because those memes back out.
Until they were there, there's like, well, we're gonna go there, and like everybody's just gonna be the fire festival, and I better call Ja Rule and get some music playing or something. Dude, that's what it felt like it was about to happen, So now we can go, and I know for sure we're gonna get it hooked up.
That's what we play. Just wanted to use the soundboard.
So thank you to everybody that has been riding along. It has been helpful to have many of you following and talking to us and keeping us motivated to doing the shows and doing everything, because the Dream Show Season 2 is going to be coming up out of Costa Rica from that week of camp. A lot of interesting personalities are going to be down there hanging out,
have some live shows and stuff coming out of there too on here.
Yeah, so we're super excited to go train and then go surfing and waterfall hunting and relaxing and looking at the beautiful scenery. And
I look forward to the surfing.
I'm excited to try it. I was going to try it last time, but Kirby got injured and we had to flee the beach and go to the hospital. So we're not going to talk about that. But there's a drone. He hurt himself with his drone.
Yeah. Not surfing related.
No, definitely not. Unrelated completely to that. So dude, we're gonna go out there. I've been speaking to the people at Hotel Costa Verde. We're gonna have it set up. It's gonna be beautiful. Hopefully everything else that we cannot handles itself. The weather for travel for everybody, all the kind of things like that. Because that's the only thing we're worried about now at this point. Like everything is kind of good to go. We get down there and we just got to do the damn thing, And I think that's the fun part. That's the easy part, right? Once it gets going, everything starts feeling good. I think that's the way it is on a lot of like events and projects. You're really nervous until it like kicks off. And then once it starts rolling, you're like, all right, cool. This is good, and then it'll be nice when it's done, and have that in our books as another experience and a lot of lessons learned. Good, like from the whole thing.
I look forward to the information. I mean, you got Lindsay down there,
Kyle Chambers, for sure. Like the teachers are going to be good, and then some of the conversations are
and just the minds that are going to be there to be picked.
There'll be a lot of different people down there that feel different ways and have different experiences and sizes, and I'm super, dude. I'm like, again, just yesterday made it really like relaxing to see those there because
that first check mark.
Yeah. I mean, that the biggest one, like it's not the first one, I guess, necessarily.
I mean, not necessarily the first, but the first
big one.
Yeah.
Because without that, literally none of it could happen.
Right.
So So yeah. So thank you to everybody. Musgrove Trial Firm, 678-226-1994. Like accidents, slip and falls, personal injury attorney. Just hit them up if you need something. Just take some advice at the very least, right? Check them out. They're a big supporter of us. So if you let them know and you call them up, tell them that you love us and you love them, then they'll keep supporting us and we'll keep doing more and more cool stuff as time goes along. Uh, Parkway Automotive Studios, obviously coming in here, having like a real professional setups, making everything nice and easy to do, makes it optically look nice, easy to do it. So we appreciate them for allowing us to have this great studio to come in here and tinker with and play around with and find out what we're gonna do in the long term because it's fun, man. It's turned pretty fun. At first, I wasn't sure what we were gonna do with it all the time, and we're still gonna like again, we're gonna pivot it a few times, I bet, still as things come along. Oh, tonight, anybody in the area, 6:30
That's right.
class, 6:30 class at 10th Planet Perry is going to be ran by Keith Krikorian, ADCC veteran, EBI veteran, Jiu-Jitsu overtime champion. I think he won that. I think he won that, or either got second or whatever. He's like top of the top, second at both ADCC trials. Last time they were out, East and West Coast. Had a stretch where he went like 70-0 1 year for a while. So just super high level competitor. A guy that I saw come up from being like a teenager, 16, 17-year-old blue belt kid that was just like training, and then all of a sudden you see him, progress, purple belt, progress, brown belt. And then he's at ADCCs and EBIs and stuff like that. And it's just like, wow, man, that's what that looks like. You know what I mean? When that kind of progression. And so now it's going to be really cool to have Keith coming through tonight. He just happens to be like driving south, I guess, and that's one of the benefits of being down a major artery in 75 is that people would just swing through. And so I'm super excited to have him. I haven't seen Keith in like a couple of years, so it'll be fun to hang out and get some training in. I'm sure whatever he decides to go over is going to be well worth anybody's time and trouble. So if you're in the area, feel free to come through. It's donation based, so yeah, just make sure you're ready to kick them a couple bucks if you can. Students, you don't have to really worry about it. Just come to 6:30 class. If you want to kick in something, go ahead. That's fine. But just come to class for you guys mostly. Other than that, what else we got going on?
I think that's it. The next PGF isn't for a couple weeks out there right before we go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, the last qualifier is in Austin on October the 9th, which is a Saturday, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's the last one. And so from there, we'll know a lot more about what's going to happen going into the PGF season in January. I don't know exactly what role I'm going to play in the production of the show, but I'm going to be a part of the production, meaning coaching or maybe commentary, maybe analyst, maybe
like
whatever.
Could we give you like a pen and let you draw like Madden?
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. We could just figure out all kind of like if we could figure it out, that would be a fun thing to do too. Like, because that's the thing is that there's gonna be a lot of like content and things that we're trying to work out and put together from it. It's gonna be a week-long event with a bunch of different like things attached to it. So hopefully the steam just keeps rolling and rolling and building up for this thing in January. I know because we're trying to give space to like the ADCC trials and different things that are between now and then. So let guys run through that, and then hopefully the schedule is going to clear up for some of these 170s killers to get some of those special invites that we've heard about. So yeah, I'm super excited to be able to like get ready for that too after Costa Rica. And then we're probably going to do another Costa Rica trip. I was going to say late March, but I think my date may have been superseded already by some other stuff. So we're looking to maybe go ahead and start planning like the next Costa Rica trip, springish, Marchish, Aprilish. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a new lineup of coaches and days. Probably going to shorten it to like a 3-day thing, so that way it's a little bit more compact and easy to manage for everybody, and maybe traveling's not such a hefty thing that you got to do for so many days to be there. So like a three-day thing, I think is going to be really good. So that condenses it and makes it super, super fun, and we could still have a lot of the same experiences in those 3 days instead of stretching it out. I just like being there. That's why I wanted to do the long one personally.
Yeah.
It's just me being selfish. So I don't know if everybody's like me. So we'll see.
To some extent.
That's not guaranteed, but we'll see. We're gonna look at where we're gonna go on the dates. So maybe like a 3-day camp coming up in April or something like that. So let me know, like somebody you guys would be interested in maybe coming with me to Costa Rica to train with, like myself, and who else would you fly down and spend a few days in paradise with to get some training in the Dream No Gi camps. There's a few people that I've got in mind, but I'd like to really hear from anybody that may be interested in going. Who's somebody you would like to go spend some quality? That's the thing. You're gonna get some quality time with these people because you're gonna be down there somewhere where you're gonna be one on one and have time to like talk and more time to hang out with these kind of people that you wouldn't get, unless you're living with them in their city, stuff like that kind of access. That's the kind of thing that we're hoping for and getting in these, and you going out, shooting hoops with Michael Jordan and stuff like that. Hopefully, to an extent with these trips, that's what I'm hoping for. So stay tuned with that. Mid South Classics probably coming back in November. I think we're gonna say purple belt max absolute guys.
I think that's what we were talking about. Was absolute guys,
purple belt and under, absolute
purple belt and
dudes.
under, and then we were working on a female bracket,
and then we're thinking about ladies.
Seeing what the people want.
Yeah, maybe we just do one bracket if that's all we can get.
We'll see.
We'll just do one big absolute bracket and let it ride. But yeah, so thank you to everybody for tuning in. I know we went like super, super long today. And if you stayed in here this long, that means I love you because you spend a lot of time listening to me. Say a couple things, cause I've been trying to make it through the day, so stay the fuck up out my way unless you trying to get snared. Hey, hey. Insane, no cocaine, my membrane is okay. Combat is more dope, just jump through the border.